Imagine this for a second. You're exhausted, underpaid, maybe disrespected a little, but every time you think about changing something, a voice in your head whispers, "Hey, be grateful. At least music, you have a job. At least someone loves you. At least you're not starving." Sounds familiar? Now, here's the uncomfortable question. What if that voice isn't wisdom, but a leash? What if being thankful is the exact thing keeping you stuck? Small, unpredictable. And even worse, what if Somi only wants it that way? We're told gratitude is always good. Music gratitude journals, gratitude challenges. Just be thankful and you'll be happy. It sounds wholesome, harmless. But if you look at it the way Machiavelli would look at it, suddenly gratitude starts to look less like a virtue and more like a tool of power, a tool of control. So in this video, I want to walk you through the dark side of music gratitude, how being thankful, the way it's usually sold to you, can make you powerless, and more importantly, how to flip it, how to music use gratitude in a way that makes you sharper, freer, and a lot harder to control. Let's start close to home. Think of a time you were in a situation that wasn't good for you. A toxic chore, a relationship where your needs didn't matter, a family dynamic where you constantly had to shrink yourself. You knew something was off. You felt that little anger in your chest. But then, at least they gave you a chance. At least they didn't kick you out. At least they pay you something. At least they stayed with you. And slowly you go from "I deserve better" to "I should be more grateful." You notice what happened there. Gratitude didn't fix the problem. It just made you a more obedient version of yourself inside the problem. That's the version of gratitude I want to attack. Because the real question is not music, am I grateful? The real question is, who benefits from me being grateful right now? You or someone else? Machiavelli was obsessed with questions like that. Music, not affirmations, not positivity, but who has power here? What keeps them in power? How do people get controlled without realizing it? He wrote about princes and rulers, not influencers and bosses. But humans haven't changed that much. The same patterns are still there, just dressed in HR language, self-help quotes, and polite emails. If Machiavelli watched modern life, he'd notice something very quickly. We are constantly trained to feel grateful toward people and systems that don't actually deserve it. Let me explain. On the surface, gratitude is about appreciation, but underneath psychologically, gratitude is about debt. When someone does something for you, especially something big, you feel you owe them. That owe is where power appears, because the one who is owed has leverage. Machiavelli understood this. He wrote that when a ruler gives out benefits, jobs, money, favors, they're not just being kind. They are creating a web of obligations, a network of people who feel they must stay loyal even if that loyalty hurts them. He also observed something else. People are quick to forget kindness when it doesn't serve them and quick to remember injury, which is why smart rulers don't rely on gratitude alone. But here's the twist. Smart rulers still use the story of gratitude to morally trap people who don't think like Machiavellians. That's where you and I come in, because most of us were not trained to think about power. We were trained to think about being good. Good employees are grateful. Good partners are grateful. Good children are grateful. Good citizens are grateful. Grateful for what? Often for the bare minimum, for survivable conditions, for things that should be normal, being treated like miracles. Have you ever had someone treat you badly and then throw one nice gesture in your face as proof you should shut up? I gave you that opportunity. I kept you around when no one else would after everything I've done for you. That's not kindness. That's a contract you never signed being enforced with guilt. That's gratitude being used as a weapon. And if you've fallen for it, you're not music stupid. You're normal. You've just been raised in a world where gratitude is presented as a universal good, music never to be questioned. But Machiavelli would absolutely question it. Music, he'd ask, is this gratitude making you stronger or softer? Is it making you more independent or more dependent? Is it giving you more options or fewer? I feel gratitude is always pointing upward to the boss, to the savior, to the person who chose you. Then that gratitude is not yours. It's theirs. It serves music them. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine two people in the same job. Person that keeps telling themselves, "I'm so grateful I got hired. They picked me when they could have picked someone music better. I should just be thankful." So when the workload doubles, when the disrespect starts, music, when the promised raise gets delayed another year, they swallow it, because deep down they feel like they're on borrowed music time, like they're an exception, not someone of value. Person B has a different internal story. I appreciate the opportunity, but I also bring value here. They benefit from my skills. This is an exchange, not a charity. So when the workload music doubles and the respect halves, they feel something different. Not guilt, pressure, maybe, music anger, maybe, but not I must be grateful no matter what. They see themselves as a contributor, not a beggar. Both might say thank you out loud, but internally, one is kneeling, the other is standing. This is the difference between disempowering gratitude music and strategic gratitude. Disempowering gratitude says this person, company, system gave me everything. Without them, I'm nothing. So, I have no right to want more. Strategic gratitude says, I appreciate what I received, but I also recognize what I bring. And if this situation becomes unfair, I am allowed to move, negotiate, or leave. You see how one keeps you small and the other keeps you aware. The dark side of gratitude starts whenever it is used to erase your sense of worth, your sense of injustice, or your desire to change things. If you're watching this and thinking, wait, have I been doing that to myself? It's okay. A lot of us have. Maybe you grew up being told to be thankful every time you complained. Maybe you were shut down when you pointed out unfairness. Kids in other countries have it worse. You don't know how lucky you are. You should be grateful you even have a roof over your head. Now, of course, yes, many people have it worse. Reality can always be harsher, but using that as a way to silence your needs, that's emotional manipulation dressed up as wisdom. Machiavelli would say, a ruler wants his subjects comparing their condition to the worst possible scenario, not to what they actually deserve or could realistically achieve. Because if you compare your life to absolute misery, you'll tolerate a lot of nonsense. That's the exact same logic getting used on you at a smaller scale. Be grateful you have a job, even if it drains your health. Be grateful you have a partner, even if they don't respect you. Be grateful your parents stayed, even if they never really saw you. Gratitude used like that doesn't free you. It anesthetizes you. There's also the social pressure side of it. Try expressing dissatisfaction publicly, and you'll hear it. Just practice gratitude. Other people would kill to have your problems. Everything is a blessing in disguise. It sounds spiritual, but it often functions like a gag. From a Machiavellian perspective, the more people are trained to immediately convert frustration into gratitude, the less likely they are to rebel, confront, negotiate, music, or walk away. Perfect for those in power, not so perfect for you if you're at the bottom of that pyramid. Music. So, let's make this personal for a moment. Where in your life do you feel like you're not allowed to want more because you should be grateful? Is it money? You're grateful for what you earn, but secretly you know you're underpriced, underpaid, or underutilized. Is it relationships? You're grateful they stayed. Music, but the connection feels shallow, one-sided, or controlling. Is it your environment? You're grateful you're not homeless, but your living situation is chaotic, music unsafe, or suffocating. Notice your body's reaction when you imagine actually demanding better. Do you feel a wave of guilt, fear of being selfish, ungrateful, or entitled? That's the leash. It's the internalized version of all those voices from your past. Parents, teachers, bosses, religious leaders, whoever told you that your job in life is to be grateful first and honest with yourself second. Machiavelli would tell you, no ruler, no system, no person grants you dignity. You either assert it or you live at the mercy of whoever does. Now, I'm not saying gratitude is bad in itself. Real grounded gratitude can be incredibly stabilizing. Music, it can keep you from becoming bitter, from obsessing over what you don't have. What I'm saying is gratitude without awareness becomes a cage. So the solution isn't stop being grateful. The solution is start being precise. Be precise about what you're grateful for. Be precise about what you're not grateful for. Be precise about who benefits from you staying exactly where you are. Let's bring Machiavelli back into this, but in a modern way. He studied rulers who wanted to maintain power. They needed people who were dependent on them, who felt they owed the ruler their safety, music their position, their status. That feeling of I owe you everything makes people predictable. Imagine a boss who constantly reminds you of how music they took a chance on you, or a partner who always brings up how no one else would put up with you, or a parent who lists every sacrifice they ever made any time you try to make your own choices. On the surface, they're reminding you of what they did. Underneath, they're trying to write the script of how you should feel deeply, permanently indebted. Because if you feel indebted, then they don't have to be fair. They just have to remind you to be grateful. Machiavelli's whole thing was don't live in the story. Live in the reality. Don't ask, is this morally correct? Ask what's actually happening here. Who is gaining? Who is losing? Who is free? And who isn't? So try looking at your gratitude through that lens. Ask yourself, when I say I'm grateful for my job, do I mean I appreciate the income, the learning, the structure, and I still know my value and my options? Or do I actually mean I'm scared to leave? I don't think I can do better. They're doing me a favor by keeping me. When you say I'm grateful for my partner, do you mean I cherish the connection we both give and receive? Or do you actually mean I'll tolerate almost anything because I'm terrified of being alone? When you say I'm grateful for my parents, do you mean I acknowledge what they did for me, but I also know I'm a separate person now? Or do you mean will shape my entire life around their expectations, because without them I'd be nothing? One form of gratitude builds you, the other dissolves you. Here's where it gets interesting. Machiavelli wouldn't tell you to stop feeling gratitude. He would tell you to stop broadcasting it music as surrender. You can feel gratitude in private and still negotiate hard in public. You can think, I appreciate that my company hired me and still push for a raise. You can think, I'm grateful my partner has been there for me and still set boundaries. You can think, I'm grateful my parents raised me and music still live your own life in a way they might not like. Gratitude is a feeling. Power is about behavior. The problem is when you music confuse the two. People who want to keep you small will blur that line very intentionally. They'll make it sound music-like. If you were truly grateful, you wouldn't complain. If you were truly grateful, you wouldn't ask for more. If you were truly grateful, you would accept this. That's the trick. So, how do you break out of it without becoming cold or bitter? First, you stop using gratitude as a shield against reality. Music, if a situation is unfair, saying, I'm grateful anyway, does not magically make it fair. It just makes you quietly endure it. Instead, you can say, I'm grateful for what I learned here, but I also see clearly that this is not a now. Both can be true. You don't have to erase your dissatisfaction to be a good person. You're allowed to be grateful and ambitious, grateful and angry, grateful and done. Second, you separate gratitude for things from gratitude for people who misuse their power. You can be grateful for your skills, your resilience, your ability to survive. You can be grateful for the random luck of being alive at all. You can be grateful for the knowledge you gained from a hard situation. None of that requires you to feel indebted to the people who put you in that situation, or kept you there, or benefited from your silence. You don't owe your abuser gratitude, because you became stronger through the pain. You became stronger. That strength is yours, not theirs. Third, you flip the direction of your gratitude. Instead of always aiming gratitude upward, toward the person on the pedestal, start aiming it inward and sideways. Grateful for your past self who got you this far. Grateful for their friend who told you the ugly truth. Grateful for anyone who gave without strings attached. Grateful for your capacity to change, to leave, to renegotiate. This shift matters because once gratitude stops being something that pushes your head down, it can finally become something that lifts your head up. And here's a more Machiavellian move. Learn to recognize when gratitude is being used on you as a tactic. The moment someone says, after everything I've done for you, your mind should light up. They're trying to cash in a debt. Sometimes that's legitimate. We do owe things to each other. That's part of being human. But many times it's inflated. They're trying to turn a small favor into a lifetime subscription of your obedience. You don't have to fight. You don't have to scream. Machiavelli would say, keep your face calm, your tone respectful, but in your head, adjust the numbers. Was what they did helpful? Yes. Did it change my life? Maybe. But does it mean I now have to accept whatever they want from me? No. You can say I appreciate what you did, and I still need to make the right decision for myself now. That and is powerful. Gratitude, music, and self-respect. Not gratitude instead of self-respect. If you were raised to believe that wanting more is a sign you're ungrateful, this will feel wrong at first. It will feel like you're betraying someone. But look closer. Are you really betraying them, or are you finally refusing to betray yourself? Machiavelli has this cold, but clarifying way of seeing things. People act in their own interest always. That includes the people who tell you to be grateful. Companies promote gratitude cultures in part because grateful employees complain less and work more. Religions emphasize gratitude in part because grateful followers are less likely to question authority. Families demand gratitude in part because it makes children easier to control even when they're adults. Again, not always. Not everyone is evil, but you should at least be aware of the incentives. Once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. Your music, notice how often gratitude is used to close a conversation instead of open one. I'm not paid fairly. Well, be grateful you even have a job. I feel unseen in this relationship. Be grateful you're not alone. I'm unhappy with my life. You should be grateful for what you have. Some people have nothing. Notice the logic. Your pain music is being dismissed, not addressed. Gratitude is being used as a sedative. Machiavelli would leave a population that is hurting but grateful is much safer for those in power than a population that is hurting and music aware. So here's what you can start doing very practically. First, when you feel that automatic guilt for wanting more, pause and ask, who taught me this? Whose voice is that? Is it even yours? Second, rewrite the story in your head from I should be grateful they chose me to we are in a mutual exchange. This applies to jobs, relationships, any ongoing dynamic, music mutual exchange. You bring something too. Third, start practicing a new kind of sentence in your mind. I am grateful and I still want better. I acknowledge what I received and I don't owe my entire life for it. I appreciate the past and I am not chained to it. If you repeat that enough, the guilt starts to lose its grip. And last, get very honest about where your current version of gratitude is making you smaller. If you notice that after your little gratitude ritual, you feel calmer, but also more resigned, less likely to take action, maybe that's not healthy gratitude. Maybe that's spiritual anesthesia. Healthy gratitude should leave you feeling grounded, but not paralyzed. Aware of what you have, but not ashamed of what you want. Machiavelli wouldn't want you to float through life in a blissed-out gratitude haze. Music, he'd want you to see clearly your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, your risks. Gratitude can sharpen that vision, or it can blur it. So here's the shift I'm inviting you to make. Stop using gratitude as a reason to stay where you are. Start using it as fuel to move where you actually want to go. Be grateful you learned what this job taught you and still leave when it's time. Be grateful this relationship showed you parts of yourself and still walk away if it consistently hurts you. Be grateful for your upbringing and still break the patterns that limit you. Gratitude becomes truly powerful when it no longer requires you to kneel. A Machiavellian approach to gratitude music might sound like this. I see the benefit I received. I see the cost I paid. I remember both. I appreciate what helped me. I acknowledge what harmed me and I reserve the right to choose differently from now on. No self-eraser, no fake humility, just clarity. So, if you felt trapped by the pressure to be thankful, if you felt that weird mix of gratitude and resentment in your chest, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're waking up. You're starting to see that sometimes the chains aren't made of iron. They're made of words like loyalty, gratitude, and after everything I've done for you. The dark side of gratitude is real. It keeps people quiet. It keeps people in bad deals. It keeps people apologizing for wanting a life that music actually fits them. You don't have to swing to the other extreme and become ungrateful for everything. Music, that's not strength. That's just another form of blindness. What you can become is selective, conscious, strategic, grateful for what really deserves it, grateful for people who give without trying to own you, grateful for your own effort, music your own courage, your own ability to change, and absolutely unwilling to let be music thankful be the reason you accept less than you know you should. You are allowed to say thank you and then ask for more. You are allowed to appreciate and still outgrow. You are allowed to acknowledge the good without denying the bad. If anything, that might be the most